Okay, we resume our meditation on Savitri and the Divine Mother from where we stopped. So the Divine Mother implies not only a personal aspect of the divine existence, but a feminine aspect and a specific set of relations. So when we are talking about relationality, this is a very specific kind of relationship that we are called to invoke. A relation to a father and to a child. So this is the Divine Mother already carries within it the idea of a father and a child. If the one conceives of itself as the two in one, the paradox of the unborn coming into manifestation requires a bridge, a channel of passage that stands between the transcendental unknowable and the realms of the unknown and known. So these are three realms that the Upanishads are fielding. So the epistemology of the Upanishads is that there is the realm of the known and the realm of the unknown, but there is the third realm of the unknowable. So this realm of the unknowable, it's like a absolute transcendent. This is related in samadhi to three kinds of samadhi. Actually, they are talking about four kinds of samadhi. But the fourth kind of samadhi actually, it exists already in the Taittiriya Mandukya Upanishad. The samadhi of waking, Jagrat Samadhi, which is the realm of the known. Then there is the samadhi of dreaming, right, which is a space which is unformed in a sense. It's got potentia, and the potentia are constantly relating to each other with a certain underlying logic that relates to the present. So the unknown is related to the known. See, the unknown is only unknown because something is known. The dream world is always related to the world of waking. Our waking world is organizing, in a sense, our dream world. But then there is the third realm of the unknowable, in which that which has not been born exists. So these are the three zones. The unknown is not unknown because its contents are known, but it only belongs to the future. Its contents haven't been fully determined. See, it's the realm of the indeterminate, which is the unknowable. Nothing is determined there. The realm of the determinable, which is the unknown. Things can be determined from there. They exist as potentia of being determined. And the realm of the determined, which is the realm of waking. Things become definite over here. So we see a certain movement taking place. Normally our lives are within the realm of the determined. So this is our habitual life. We move around in a world in which we give names and labels to things, they have properties, and we utilize those properties according to prefigured understandings of what we need to do. They're kind of automated algorithms, talking about AI, right? By which we are acting all the time. We are personal AI machines. That's what we are, mostly. Then we have the realm of the unknown, which is actually the realm of dreams. This is why it's called Swapna in the Mandukya Upanishad. And it also is actually what Sri Aurobindo calls the subliminal, the entire range of inner existence, starting from the subtle physical and ending in the overmind. That entire thing is the unknown, because the potentia exists there, which are related to the known. And this is why the Upanishads will say this life, the known life, is so important, because here you create the patterns by which you can bring the future into birth. In the life of the unknown, in the life of the realm of dreams, in the life of the inner worlds, all the way up to the overmind, you don't have the ability to create the future. You create potentia, and the gods don't bring about the future. The gods remain the gods. Sri Aurobindo talks about the gods as a kind of imprisonment. The gods are satisfied with their splendors. They live in a world of their own grandeur, but they can't change it. But it is the bringing of the future into the present that requires the unknowable. There is something new being born continuously. And the extent of that new is based on how much of the future, how the unknowable is coming into the known, is organizing the unknown and precipitating itself in the known, so that something new is born. And that process requires a kind of consciousness. That consciousness is the consciousness of the mother, because she bridges the father and the child. This birthing channel is the Divine Mother. You see, these are metaphorical ideas that become physical in our existence. See? That's why life itself is a set of symbols. The symbolic, we were talking about the symbolic, and John Robert was talking about how we can get stuck in a symbol, but if we connect the symbol with the origin, then we see how the origin itself has become a symbol to manifest in forms of relations and unfoldments. We find the Divine Mother given prominence in certain spiritual approaches. In esoteric Catholicism or in Gnostic schools, we see the Divine Mother as the Virgin Mother of the Child Christ, the Mother of God, who gives birth to the unborn reality in time, in the form of the divine soul in the cosmos. Thus, the paradox of eternity and time is bridged by her. This is what we started with about the originary that always exists. It's the timeless and time, which are in a sense the same. Yet the manifestation of that paradox belongs to a kind of consciousness, the bridge consciousness of the Divine Mother. The divine is yet ever unborn, though she gives it birth. See, this is the paradox. This is why she is virgin. This is why in the esoteric Christianity, the virgin birth, the virgin conception, this idea is related to the symbolism of the fact that the one she gives birth to is not given birth to. It is born and unborn at the same time. This is why she is virgin and known in esoteric Christianity as the intercessor. She stands between the supreme transcendent, ever unmanifest infinite reality known as the Father, and this world of the plurality of souls, each of whom represents a birth of the Supreme Being as an embodiment, the avatar of God, Christ. So this is the pluralization of Christ that is taking place in the world. In the Indian traditions, this cosmic prominence is given to the Divine Mother in the school of thought and practice known as the Tantras. The Tantras do not see the manifestation of the cosmos as an illusion. They see it as reality made up of the substance of the Divine Mother. So these three realms, the realms of the waking, the realm of matter itself, and the realm of dreaming, the realm of the astral and the subtle, and the realm beyond that, these are substances. The word substance can be used. They are the different substances of the body of the Divine Mother. According to the Tantric conception, the Supreme Being, Sat, Ishvara, or Purushottama, depending on which tradition you're seeing it from, has its conscious force, Chit, Shakti, or Paraprakriti, which is calling it into becoming as an act of love. This is a relation, the original relationality. Each entity in this universe is a specific name of endearment by which the divine is called by his beloved. For this, the conscious force first lays the ground by becoming the universal body of qualities and shaping in this medium the innumerable qualitative forms into which the Supreme Being is invited to take birth. This extension of her infinity of qualities into first an astral realm, a realm of the virtual, the dream world, and then into a latency as the infinite qualitative multiplicity of matter. Matter itself is the condensation of this body of qualities as potentia seen in a concrete form. And these then come into relation, as it were. And the Supreme Divine is invited to take birth in these relations. See? This very idea is also related to Mother's parable about the creation and what Sri Aurobindo calls the Holocaust of the Divine Mother. She prepares the ground first by becoming the cosmos and all its potential. And into each relation that develops in it, she invites the divine to enter as a soul. That is the second birth. Yes, or descent.
So I just have a question. Right now, the word we're using is a divine mother, divine mother. It is in the same sense like Ramakrishna Paramans always said that whatever is done is by divine mother. Is that the same sense it using?
Yeah, it is the same sense in which it is used, but the content that is given to it, of course, it is the same sense, but the content that is given to it over here, this cosmic content of bringing the future into birth, through a structure, that is a kind of like a meditation that invites us to connect with the full potential of that idea. See? Because we can say everything is being done by the Divine Mother, but that can be a passive idea, right? That only helps us to find comfort in a world that is difficult. See? But to say it in a way in which one actually connects with its power is to bring the entire idea of what it is into one's life.
So it's kind of like a reference to me, like Ramakrishna Paramahansa, the path of the mother is kind of more towards the devotion, and here is more towards the like a Gnan mark, or do you think?
I wouldn't say more, I'd say this is an integral approach, and I wouldn't even say that Ramakrishna Paramahansa's approach is, as you're saying, maybe more devotional, but that could also be integral. I think it is integral. In a way, they are the same, but uh, it could be considered to be more devotional. So this idea, yes, please.
Yeah, just since you were already asking questions.
Yeah.
I get that God is divine mother, but I thought that the idea of male and female was more of a mental idea. So just
It's not a mental idea because long before mind existed, there were male and female in the world, and this polarity exists even before life comes into existence. See, so it's not a mental idea, but the values we give it could be mental. This is what the mother says. The mother challenges this entire idea of Purusha and Prakriti and to some extent inverts it by saying a lot of this is mental valuation that we are putting on these relations. See? But the fact of the relations is a symbolic fact which is actually turning into symbols a truth of the divine. See? So there is a truth, and that truth becomes something that we experience as a symbol. That symbol, also, just as we started, no symbol needs to remain the same. In the future, the symbol also can change. You see, nothing is fixed. And this is particularly the mother's viewpoint. See? But as things stand, these are the symbols by which this idea is becoming material or real in nature.
But there is a difference. There's between the masculine and the feminine.
The difference is,
Yeah.
yeah, and their possibilities. So this is just like the question that we were asking about right in the beginning about unequal distribution of forces or qualitative difference of forces. So there's qualitative differences, and through that the same is manifesting. So you know that you are the same as something else, having the same potential also as something else, but manifesting a certain set of potential, right, where the others are kept in reserve, while somebody else is manifesting another set of potential, while the ones that you're manifesting may be kept in reserve. You see? So this is the way in which the idea of the one and the many can be perceived if one perceives it from this point of view. But normally we perceive it by dint of the fact of living a world of difference. We perceive it as somebody only is what they manifest. You see, we get stuck in the quality body rather than the essence that has the infinity of what is not expressed still in it. So, from the future point of view, where we are saying the unborn can be born, uh, these qualitative fixednesses can manifest new things. You could become something else. You have it in your power to shape shift. See? So, but that requires knowledge of that power. So, from that point of view, we are talking symbols, but the symbols are not fixed. the symbols themselves belong to this determinable area. Symbols are ideas that have developed a certain relational qualitative body that is manifesting, but behind it is the indeterminate that can actually form this. The potentia that are not born in it can be brought out from it. That is where the mother is acting from. Yeah.
Can we say that then the symbol, the idea behind the symbol?
Yeah.
For example, if I take example of India, if you are from West Bengal, Kali is the highest version
Sure.
of the
Yes.
Divine Mother, right?
Yes.
So the idea behind the Kali, and if I'm from Odisha, let's say,
Yeah.
I'm from Odisha,
Yeah.
and the Jagannath is our main god.
Yeah.
So the idea behind Jagannath,
Yeah.
are they like same? The idea is same, or because being human, we always perceive that thing. There are some quantitative and qualitative list of things behind Jagannath,
Right.
and quantitative qualitative list behind Ma Kali,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
They're not, because I view Ma Kali and in a different way than a
Yeah.
guy from West Bengal will think.
Yeah. The ideas are not the same. The idea, even with a capital I, is not the same. The idea is specific to that particular pattern that is manifesting. It's a body of qualities. Every idea is a body of qualities. But those qualities belong to the same.
Mhm.
The one being has those qualities, but the qualities that are manifest are going to be specific qualities, a matrix of qualities. Behind that is the full unmanifest power of that which is manifesting through the qualities. So the idea belongs to that realm of the determinable, but behind it is the indeterminate. So it can add new qualities to it. It can also complicate those qualities. So that's why we were saying in the realm of the gods, a Kali or a Jagannath will remain fixed. They're fixed ideas. But these gods, as fixed ideas, are also only a potentia of those same gods. Their origin is in supermind. It's the overmental potentia of those gods. The origin is in supermind, where the infinity of that power is there, of the one, that can become anything that it wants. So it can actually manifest new powers in these gods. As far as humans are concerned, we are more flexible. We are not gods. But as Sri Aurobindo will point out, in a way, we are greater than the gods. Because these potentia in us are undefined. And whatever it is that we are bringing into this life is that determinable range. But there is a lot in it that is not yet manifest or qualitatively defined, and that can appear in this life.
Could you say that what is latent is infinite?
Yeah, what is latent is infinite. Another interesting thing about this whole discussion is this is what modern philosophers are talking about a lot. This thing about, do we ever stamp an idea on anything, even when we manufacture something mechanically? And they're saying no. They're saying you can't stamp something on something that cannot take the stamp. Even that which takes the stamp has peculiarities that enter into relationship with the stamp. That's why no two stamps are actually the same. They may look the same, but it's just like the problem with our own perception, where we see a certain class of people that we don't know and think that they all look the same. But nobody in that class of people think of each other as the same. They see uniqueness in each other. So some of these philosophers are using the term transduction. They're saying every relation that we have, however different, whether it is between a human and a machine, or a human and an animal, or a human and a plant, is a relation with the same infinite set of potentia with a different front. And as we relate to it, we enter into actual relationship and mutual transformation occurs.
Following up, following up on her question regarding this male-female principle,
Yeah.
I was just wondering if any difference, whatever can be called a difference, whether that is coming from the male-female principle.
If you call it a polarity, yes, because that's how this symbolism, the Sri Aurobindo would say yes.
Meaning, no, it doesn't exactly have to be perceived
As male and female.
Is any difference? No, I'm saying I'm not getting into the language's word polarity. I'm talking about any difference. Anything that can be differentiated from something else.
Duality, you mean?
Any difference, like any variety, any principle of variation, is that all coming from male-female principle?
In origin, yes. In origin. So the Shiva Puranas tell the story of the birth of the god Ganesha from the body leavings of Parvati's bath. So she's taking a bath and she rubs her body, and the dirt that comes out she keeps, and she stores, she makes it into a little ball, and finally she gets a little doll out of it. So out of that doll, there's different versions of this story, but one of the oft repeated ones is that she builds this doll with her own material body, and then Vishnu is walking by and she calls him to breathe life into it. And he does, and it becomes a god, it becomes alive. So then there's other aspects to the story, but essentially the body of the god is made up of the parts, the residue of the Divine Mother, you may say. Parvati molds her dermal residue into a puppet and calls on Vishnu to give it life. In a sense, this is the reality of all creatures in the cosmos. The Divine Mother has made her substance the foundation of this cosmos and has molded the qualitative possibilities of all its beings out of this substance. She has then called upon the Supreme Being to inhabit these molds as a soul essence. This qualitative blueprint with the soul essence, the blueprint, the qualitative blueprint, which is the essence of the mother's leavings, you may say, with the soul essence in it. This is the psychic being. This qualitative blueprint with the soul essence is the soul personality, the psychic being. When considering the psychic being in Savitri, we saw how the Divine Mother has projected herself in specific qualitative combinations following the lines of her four principal manifesting powers into the innermost core of all creatures, formed as varieties of her imagination. This is what the psychic being is. It's the mother's own body, as it were, with the divine essence in it. In this way, the Divine Mother is present in all beings as the immanent divinity growing up into the fullness of their consciousness. This blueprint, it's a blueprint. It's a body of, a seed of potentia that will evolve into the variations of the relations that are contained in it. It doesn't mean that it's determined. You see, it's the determinable. In other words, it's a set of relations, qualitative relations, each one of us carries, that are coming into manifestation depending on what is the relational force between the different potential. So it will conserve the idea, but the idea's manifestation will be variations of various possibilities that it could take. Okay? That's why it is not determined. It is determined from moment to moment. Now, we talk about Trikal Drishti or premonition or knowing the future. This is also a question of what is the whole of time to each of us. See, what is the present, in other words? It belongs to the zone of the known. So the present is never it's always a DT. It's always a kind of a slice of time. And for different people, it's a different slice of time that reaches back into the past and is becoming something in the future. That extent of what you're becoming in the future is also dependent on how much of the past you're integrating. And those who can actually, so the whole cosmos is also becoming in that way, who can connect with a certain larger slice of the becoming can see events to come that have already been determined. But depending on how much of the unknowable is going to come into it, your slice of time is undetermined. See? Even in the mother's predictions, we'll see this. She'll say, I can see till here. That's a very very interesting example. It's in the mother's own statements. Somebody I know told me this, somebody from Los Angeles. They were in Uganda at the time, a Gujarati person. And the mother, they had come to the ashram. The mother called this person and said, I advise you to leave Uganda. And he said, why, mother? We have a good business over there. And she said, listen, Uganda is for Ugandans, and that's what's going to come to pass. And I can see a big difficulty, particularly for people from the outside who are there right now. And I can see this is going to go on for something like 50 years. But beyond that, I don't know. See, this statement, this beyond that I don't know, it shows us the envelope of the present in her vision. She can see this particular determination taking place right now. The forces are becoming determined. And what that means over the next 50 years is what she sees. And how that will turn beyond that belongs to a bigger arc of time and the projection of the unknowable.
So she saw Idi Amin coming in power and throwing out all Indians.
Yes, this is exactly when this was happening. That's when she said this. Yes.
And that indeterminate window, is that the relationship to the free will of the actors?
Yes. So it's a very deep question, this question that you just asked. So the simple answer to that question is yes. And everybody has some free will. That free will is the presence of the mother in us. The mother is a creative consciousness. You know, people will tell you, we imagine we have free will, but we don't have it. And that's also true. Most of what we call free will is conditioned will. But there is an iota of true free will in every one of us. It's a question of how can we contact that and make that grow. And when it does, we know, because that's the truly creative. We experience that moment of something that knows that it is creating the future.
Isn't the best method surrendering to her?
Yeah,
She can then use you
right,
as an instrument, basically.
right. Yes. Yes,
I
Margaret.
was just reminded of when Mother saw the freeing of India and was telling Sri Aurobindo, and Sri Aurobindo was asking her, I think it's like, will it be a violent or how is it? And she goes into more detail. But it's interesting that she saw it and told Sri Aurobindo.
Yeah, yeah. Sri Aurobindo sees this as the very meaning of existence. According to Sri Aurobindo, the Divine Mother, bridging the transcendent, the cosmos, and individual entities, carries the cosmic manifestation in all its aspects as forms of relation with the Supreme Being. In his book, The Mother, he writes about the triple status of the Divine Mother. She is transcendent, the energy and consciousness of the Supreme Being, in whom the Supreme Being resides or abides. She is universal, the one who lays out her entire qualitative reality for the manifestation of the infinite play of God. And she is individual, having given qualitative and material form to all creatures as their nature, Prakriti, and also having become their innermost qualitative body as the psychic being, residing in union with the unborn Supreme Being. That's why what we call the psychic being is also all these three, part manifest and part unmanifest, and infinitely unmanifest. There is in it an infinite quantum of the unmanifest. And it is part manifest as a set of relations, of qualities, and it manifests as determined realities in time, according to circumstances that call it to manifest. Yeah.
In this context, I was thinking of these terms like Aditi and Adya Shakti.
Yeah.
Is it, because I'm just trying to clarify, if is there a Shakti that is beyond all being, or is there such a...
Yeah, so this is what I mean, in the supermind, you may say, right? That is sort of the Shakti beyond all being, in the sense that originary, it bridges timeless and time. The terms Aditi, of course, is the undivided, right? But Adya, which is related to Aditi, actually, it's interesting because
Adi,
yeah, Adi,
ancient,
yeah,
before everything else.
yeah. The root Ad is to devour, actually, to eat, to dissolve by eating. See, so the originary is at that cusp of actually dissolving everything, eating it up, and also bringing it into manifestation.
That is what is called Adi Shakti.
So Adi will mean original, in that sense, yeah. Adi means literally original. Yeah. Yes, John. Good.
When you were talking about devouring or eating it up, and that it brings it into manifestation, is that what you said?
Yes.
It reminded me of
something I read in an autobiography of an indigenous person who
Yes.
had a lot of psychic capabilities. And he said when he eats food, that if he pays attention in the first 15 seconds, he can feel the change into bliss of that which is eaten.
Beautiful, yeah.
The change into what?
Bliss.
Into bliss.
Now, talking about indigenous experiences and very early art, what we see as Neolithic art, or even coming out of that into early indigenous art. There are a lot of images of this kind, but I'm particularly thinking of China, which gives rise to the image of the dragon. But this is, even before the dragon, there are images of nature itself as a kind of devouring being, with creatures, all different creatures imprinted on the body, with its mouth open, and there's a child that it's holding, And the interesting thing is that you can't tell whether it's giving birth to the child or eating it up. See, it's that ambiguous, it's doing both, as it were. See, it's dissolving it and giving it birth. This is the time structure, this is the time image. It's every moment is a dissolution and a rebirth. And so I read now from that passage from Sri Aurobindo's The Mother, and we can take this as a moment of meditation to enter into closeness with Sri Aurobindo's words here. There are three ways of being of the Mother of which you can become aware when you enter into touch of oneness with the conscious force that upholds us and the universe. Transcendent, the original supreme Shakti, she stands above the worlds and links the creation to the ever unmanifest mystery of the Supreme. Universal, the cosmic Mahashakti, she creates all these beings and contains and enters, supports and conducts all these million processes and forces. Individual, she embodies the power of these two vaster ways of her existence, makes them living and near to us, and mediates between the human personality and the divine nature. The one original transcendent Shakti, the Mother, stands above all the worlds and bears in her eternal consciousness the supreme divine. Bears in her eternal consciousness the supreme divine. Alone, she harbors the absolute power and the ineffable presence. Containing or calling the truths that have to be manifested, she brings them down from the mystery in which they were hidden into the light of her infinite consciousness and gives them a form of force in her omnipotent power and her boundless life and a body in the universe. The Supreme is manifest in her forever as the everlasting Satchidananda, manifested through her in the worlds as the one and dual consciousness of Ishvara Shakti and the dual principle of Purusha Prakriti. embodied by her in the worlds and the planes and the gods and their energies, and figured because of her as all that is in the known worlds and in unknown others. All is her play with the Supreme. All is her manifestation of the mysteries of the eternal, the miracles of the infinite. All is she, for all are parcel and portion of the divine conscious force. Nothing can be here or elsewhere but what she decides and the Supreme sanctions. Nothing can take shape except what she, moved by the Supreme, perceives and forms after casting it into seed in her creating Ananda. So this is the seed, as it were, the potentia that become the ideas that become manifest as material forms. The mother not only governs all from above, but she descends into this lesser triple universe. Impersonally, all things here, even the movements of the ignorance, are herself in veiled power and her creations in diminished substance, her nature body and nature force. And they exist because, moved by the mysterious fiat of the Supreme, to work out something that was there in the possibilities of the infinite, she has consented to the great sacrifice and has put on, like a mask, the soul and forms of the ignorance. But personally, too, she has stooped to descend here into the darkness, that she may lead it to the light, into the falsehood and error, that she may convert it to truth, into this death, that she may turn it to godlike life, into this world pain and its obstinate sorrow and suffering, that she may end it in the transforming ecstasy of her sublime Ananda. In her deep and great love for her children, she has consented to put on herself the cloak of this obscurity, condescended to bear the attacks and torturing influences of the powers of the darkness and the falsehood, born to pass through the portals of the birth that is a death, taken upon herself the pangs and sorrows and sufferings of the creation, since it seemed that thus alone could it be lifted to the light and joy and truth and eternal life. This is the great sacrifice, called sometimes the sacrifice of the Purusha, but much more deeply the holocaust of Prakriti, the sacrifice of the Divine Mother. In this passage, Sri Aurobindo brings out most clearly the nature of the power of the Mother, how and why she manifests, and why she is given the central place in his teaching, his yoga, and in Savitri. It also throws light on the aspects of the Divine Mother that are present in Savitri. We find, for example, Ashwapati calling on the transcendent aspect of the Mother, beyond the manifestation. She leans down from the unmanifest. In fact, in that canto, even the wording is one of somebody leaning down from the unknowable. she leans down from the unmanifest and shows him the future. See? It is she who consents to incarnate as an individual in Savitri. In the passage above from the mother, we see that the mother is transcendent, but she is also universal. It is she who has become this cosmos in all its processes and forms. The Supreme Being is being marshaled by her in this universe in a play in which the divine consciousness evolves individually and collectively from a self-forgetting to the fullness of its possibilities. So we find these existences of the mother, as it were. And then we come to this idea, and Sri Aurobindo is, in some sense, in a pointed way, pointing to this idea of the sacrifice of the Divine Mother. See, this, as I said, he's revising a lot of the tradition. Because we talk, you see, this is the thing, what we call the Veda, the 10 mandalas of the Veda, even from the viewpoint of the Indian tradition, is a edited text. It is not an original text. This is why we give the term Veda Vyasa to Vyasa, who is supposed to have written the Mahabharata. He is called Veda Vyasa because he is supposed to have edited the the Vedas. He collected a certain number of Vedas, which in the traditional understanding is supposed to be an eternal text that gets lost gradually with the loss of divinity in the ages, yugas. So when we come to the Kali Yuga, you need somebody like Vyasa, who in a sense is also considered an avatar in certain traditions, the avatar who compiles the Vedas. So,
What was
yes.
it edited from?
Edited in the sense collected. So it's like it's dispersing, it's getting lost, its meaning is getting changed, and somebody comes and collects who knows what are the right ones and then keeps a certain set alive for the future, so to say. See? So in that collection, just as we are talking about Savitri itself and Sri Aurobindo pointing out that the story of Savitri actually comes out of the Veda, he's extrapolating from it's almost like he's going back in time and saying this story in the Mahabharata can be read as a Vedic story for these reasons, but as a Vedic story, this is what it would mean. This is what he's giving us in a sense. And he's doing the same thing we are talking about, going back to an originary sense of the text, Savitri, and projecting it into the future. See? A bigger range of time. Yeah, Charles.
So this, and so this really stands to reason that he spent 40 years writing this, drawing back to the origin, and in a way, it was more of he saw the whole thing.
Yeah.
And then he's putting it together in mantric form.
Yeah.
It's like recreating the Vedas in the more original way for a present moment.
Yes.
In English. And
yes, exactly.
all that. So it's all this behind. So it's very interesting. you put it, it's like when you think of what he was doing,
Yes.
and he wasn't like, well, let me go rework the Veda or the story, and I'll change this, and like we would think.
Yeah.
He's seeing this thing coming down,
Yeah.
and he's using the symbol of as it was and creating what he thinks and what he sees, which is the more full restoration of it, a remembering, so to speak.
Exactly.
Like, no, this is what, this is the full story, unedited.
Yes.
This is the full picture. And I was looking at the mother as you were saying, and there was that passage where he says there's the four personalities of the mother, and says, and there are other great personalities of the mother. And basically he's saying, we're not ready to receive them yet.
Yeah.
But if you want to be a person who starts to receive them, so this is once again the unknowable.
Yeah.
He's going back to the unknowable and drawing it out, and he says, well, we only have 4 so far, but there's 5 and 6 and 7, and there's going to be a lot more personalities of the mother as humanity is ready to receive them. So it's like his action as a seer is demonstrating the thing he's writing about.
Exactly. He's got a beautiful line in Savitri. It's a line that goes something like, mapped to backward and prophetic time. Mapped to backward and prophetic time. This is Savitri.
I just got chills when you said that. So. Okay.
So Sri Aurobindo somewhere said that that yoga had to go into the past and bring everything that was useful and bring it into the future.
Yeah.
And that sounds like what you were describing.
Similar, exactly.
I was wondering if that's like an archetypal movement of the manifestation, that going into the past and getting this larger view and bringing it down to the present, where it's in a form that fits the present.
Yeah. Because it's always a looking back into the past to recover the potential that were lost due to history. You see, and that in a sense is exactly what he's doing over here when he's talking about the Holocaust of the Divine Mother. And that's what I meant by the Veda. Already in the Veda you have the Purusha Sukta, the Holocaust of the Purusha. But where is the Holocaust of the Divine Mother? It's been edited out. Already the Veda, just as the story of Savitri does not exist in the Veda today. Where was it? Did he create it? No, it was there. It's been edited out. Because an androcentric turn in civilization occurred. He will not say that. Because to some extent, he's wanting us to look at what is true in the Veda. He doesn't want to complicate the picture over there. But you can get it from his own hints. The fact that the idea of the Holocaust of the Divine Mother is not there. The fact that the story of Savitri has not appeared in it. The fact that there is no Shakti avatar in the Indian tradition. These point to something which has intervened in history. And in a way, he's going behind that and giving us an integral truth that has covered up.
So I love this. It's like there is this deeper remembering.
Yes.
That also makes us then more fully present.
Yes. Exactly.
It makes us feel more fully present. This deeper remembering makes us more fully present.
Yes.
And open to the future.
And open to a greater future.
Yeah.
But in traditional Hindu culture, as you see, like the creator is Lord Brahma, and Vishnu is like there are 3 gods, right? Like Lord Shiva, etc. So where does Divine Mother, like, are they all the same in different aspects? Like, I'm not getting that part.
Yeah, they are all functional manifestations of the same being serving a certain kind of purpose. So, for example, even what you said is a historical thing. You see, Brahma as the creator, Vishnu as the preserver, Shiva as the destroyer. belongs to a certain point of time when these gods were actually everything, each one of them. See? So some Puranas were creating a consolidated Hinduism. At that point, you had this image of the three as having these functions. But if you go to their own traditions, or even the Puranas that belong to these particular gods, Shiva is the creator, the preserver, the destroyer, the concealer, and the revealer. He doesn't need Vishnu, and he doesn't need Brahma. He's all of them. Vishnu becomes Brahma and becomes Shiva to create and destroy. They don't have any existence outside him. You see, this is the way the Puranas are written. And it's not an interpretation. So you see, the thing is that in a way, even our understanding of quote unquote tradition is a historical construct. It belongs to a certain point of time that somebody made it into a canonical thing that we today call tradition. There was a tradition before that tradition. And that tradition only made itself politically final.
I always wondered how or why a culture that had the Divine Mother so strongly and all of these goddesses, you could say, could also be so misogynistic. You know.
It's for a number of reasons. Firstly, of course, there have been these androcentric interpretations that this what I was called Brahmanism, for example, is already a trend in that direction. But also through history, there have been strong kind of misogynistic colonial movements that have taken place that have exacerbated that particular fact.
Could it also be that the androcentric idea favors ego more?
Yeah, that's also true. That's also true. I think apart from ego, it's more the transcendental notion, the notion of sort of being superior and outside view, like the mental view, the spiritual view that is ascetic and outside. These ways of approaching reality are trying to dominate it, trying to look at it from something above.
Mm-hmm.
See? And
even the above also is kind of a separate.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
I think that books written by Devdatta Kali is basically on the Durga Saptasati. In that book, he is trying to point out the mother as an independent creator.
Yeah,
and,
right.
He says, I think to see Aurobindo the same like that, whatever, pointing out certain word and certain quotes from the Veda, and they say, here is the mother, is an independent potential, is not the Shaktis of other devas.
That's right,
and
that's true. That's true.
Brings out.
That's true. Even in Saptashati, you see, the thing is that Durga is born from the energies of all the gods, but
in that book
they're saying these energies of the gods resided in those gods by her power.
Yeah.
Without her, they had no energy.
No energy.
And it's she herself who emerges out of them to become who she was. So this is the way in which you see that, this idea of creator, preserver, it's much more complex. It has got a integral idea behind it.
Because Lord Shiva's wife is goddess Durga, right? And then, they are like, intertwined that way.
Yeah.
Not only that, there's the story of Kali, fighting the demons, right? And it comes out of the gods are helpless, and it's Kali who comes out of Durga, and then in a way they had to call someone higher than them to destroy the demon. So in these stories, sometimes I think clues are there to like oh wait, how could that be? I thought Vishnu or I thought Shiva was the top, the greatest Why are they calling on the Divine Mother to take care of the demons? And it's like, but those are just the remnants of maybe the original little pieces that are left.
Yeah, because the four powers of mother, like at least Durga and Kali, all that, like, Lord Shiva's, so sometimes it's confusing, like how.
Yeah, you have to take them, each one of them is more than what they manifest, you see. It's in a way more complex and paradoxical, each one of them.
More question.
Yes.
When you say the sacrifices of Divine Mother, what do we mean? And then Holocaust of the Divine Mother, I do not understand what that means. And then sacrifices of Divine Mother, I'm trying to think more like from a human egoistic point of view. Sacrifice is more, somebody is superior, somebody is inferior, so somebody is sacrificing for the well-being of somebody else.
Yeah.
But here, when we say sacrifice of the Divine Mother, what do we really mean? And also, what does Holocaust of Divine Mother means?
So sacrifice, you're right, sacrifice is to something, right? So it's sacrifice to something greater than yourself, right? It's almost like sacrificing to something else that is greater than yourself. So what is the mother sacrificing to, right? That's your first question. And also, it relates also to Purusha Sukta, for example, right? What is the Purusha sacrificing to? What would be your answer to that?
I don't know.
No?
I can.
Yeah.
I think the sacrifice comes from Veda. There is a sukta called Nasadiya Sukta. It goes like Nasadasi, No Sadasi, Sadani, Nasi, Rajo. So in the beginning, there was only the Brahman. Brahman is basically potential energy, mother is the kinetic energy. And then there's darkness everywhere. Like darkness covered by darkness, the ocean of darkness. So the Brahman could have stayed as it is, not done anything, but then makes a conscious decision, the first decision to enter the darkness and create the universe. So it was a sacrifice. Could have just stayed and not done anything, but decided to consciously enter the darkness and create this whole universe. So that's the sacrifice that the Nasadiya Sutta talks about. And the same thing Purusha Sutta talks about is, it says Purusha is ascending the Anna. It's like Purusha is immortal, but he makes a decision to enter the mortal world. Anne Nati Rohati. He enters the physical world to ascend it, to bring immortality down into the physical world. So that's the sacrifice that the Nasadiya Sutta and the Purusha Sutta talk about. And basically, though Nasadiya Sutta talks about the Brahman which existed before the universe, and Purusha Sutta talks about Purusha, they are basically the potential and the kinetic energy. The potential is the male, and the kinetic that goes into the darkness brings immortality into the mortal world. That's the divine. That's the sacrifice.
Yeah, somewhat like what he's saying. So two powers you have to think about. One is, you talked about the two creation myths of 10th mandala. Yeah, but Purusha, to what does Purusha sacrifice, right? It's a possibility. It sacrifices itself to a possibility. Purusha, who is one, right, sacrifices to the possibility of its own infinity, its own plurality. The one is always plural. The one is never a homogeneous one, but it doesn't realize it until it releases its own plurality. So it's sacrificing to its own possibility of being many. It cuts itself into 4 parts, right? In the 4 seasons. And all these parts making itself into multiplicity from unity, see? So it's sacrificing to the idea of its own plurality. But in that, it loses its unity. In losing its unity, it suffers. That's the suffering of the creation. Same with the idea of the Holocaust of the mother. not only is it a movement from the one to the many, it's a movement from consciousness to unconsciousness. Unconsciousness becomes the ground from which consciousness will rise again. But for that, somebody has to choose to suffer unconsciousness, who was conscious. This is the sacrifice of the Divine Mother, who will willingly make her body into something dead.
Basically, the involution is the sacrifice.
Yeah, the involution is the sacrifice. The Holocaust of the Supreme, or the Holocaust of the Divine Mother, is this, abjection, this becoming other without any power, becoming completely free of, without, absent of all consciousness. And from that, having the power to burn upwards, to burn upwards, to call down its own consciousness and to become conscious.
I had this, I don't know what if it was intuition or what, but you were talking earlier about the Islamic, the Kaaba and the black stone.
Yeah.
And I'm realizing I don't even know how many actually kind of get the power of that. Because for me, they are celebrating or they are honoring the sacrifice of the Divine Mother who became stone.
Mm-hmm. True.
And this is supposed to be a stone that came from
Yeah,
heaven.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it is the mother.
Yeah.
And that's the great sacrifice of the mother becoming stone.
Yeah.
In Christianity, we have the Word becoming flesh as the sacrifice.
Yeah, exactly.
But this is the Divine Mother going even lower, you could say, into stone.
Right.
And then why do Muslims treat women the way they do? Again, that's political.
And the kissing, they go down and they kiss the kiss stone, they kiss earth.
Yeah.
I was thinking of even the darkness that we say dark. Why is it dark? Because of the sacrifice of light.
Yeah. Absolutely.
The ignorance.
Yeah. So both those aspects of the sacrifice of the Divine Mother, as he's pointing out, is the original sacrifice, even before the sacrifice of the Purusha. Because in a way, sacrifice of the Purusha and the Purusha Sukta is a self-fragmentation of the one. You see, while even before that, consciousness has to become unconscious. That which is conscious becomes unconscious. Consciousness itself, Chit itself becomes Achit, to form the possibility of a evolution upwards. Yeah.
So there's something that's been sitting there ever since you were reading from the mother, from Sri Aurobindo's book, The Mother, about how the mother is the savior and how to bring all these powers to get from where we are to there. And I was wondering, is there some place that celebrates the involution, that celebrates the descent? Or is it because that's not what we want? We want something that's bigger and wiser, that's what I'm hearing and what I'm reading.
Well, it could be, actually what you said right now is itself of that kind. Something descended, right? Something astral, something luminous became a stone, right? So in a way, that remembrance is also with us, that there's a divine power in matter, that the divine has become matter. I think that is celebrated. I think it's celebrated in different ways, even in image making. See? The fact that we create idols of the mother, or of the gods. So, the image making traditions of India, even today, they consider the stone to be God. And they actually start by, no, I mean, a kind of a, there's this entire thing about the priests bring life into the image through their rituals. And I talked to a traditional artist, and I asked him that. I said, so y'all just create the images, and then the priest brings life into the image through his mantras. He said, oh no, we are the ones that awaken the god, awaken the goddess by the fact that even as I look on the stone, I can see the god there. See, this is an involution.
But isn't that the celebration of, oh, I can look at the stone and now I can see what it really is, rather than a celebration of I can't see, or a diminution, or
Yeah.
if that's really what it is.
Yeah, I mean, it's an involvement. It's an involvement. And so, I mean, the first pujas are done to the stone itself. That's where the rituals of image making first start with the material, because it assumes that the divine has involved in the material. See? And then you bring it out, and that's what he says is the entry of the divine into the stone, or I mean out of the stone.
There's another question coming to my mind because of this discussion, that we say that there is no light, that's why it is dark. We never say there is no darkness, that's why there is light. I mean, there is a fundamental somewhere.
A hierarchism. I think that comes, John Robert, because we are first and foremost people who feel the pain of the involution. We belong to the involution much more than to the evolution. Right? Well, this is why the whole tradition, all the traditions of trying to escape have come. Our first impulse is how can we escape from this prison? Yeah. So we privilege that. I mean, looked at from above, we might worship the stone, but looked at from below, we are trying to get out of it.
If we worship the stone as stone,
yeah, still the stone is potential, right?
Well, I was just thinking when you're talking about the
yeah.
symbol and bringing a slice of the whole history of it, then you're already going back.
Right, you are.
So we are prana pratishtha, right? So it is invoking life into stone. It's involution. Without doing the ceremony, it's stone. Once you do the ceremony of prana pratishtha, you are invoking life into the stone. Then you start worshipping it. And sometimes if the stone is damaged, then you do the ceremony and you, like after 10 days of Durga Puja, you put it in the ocean, or Ganesh Chaturthi, you send it off in the ocean. Right? That's when the life goes away from it. So the ceremony is involution. That's what I think you're studying.
I was thinking of the human worship of the avatar. So the avatar has come down.
Yeah.
And there's appreciation of that.
Yeah, that's true. That's an act of involution.
Yeah.
The first form of the stone is an epheloid form, the linga. The first form is in the epheloid, which is called a linga, a shivling.
Yeah.
So you do the pran pratishtha, which is called consecrating. It's a whole ceremony. And that's why even more than the avatars or what we see as gods in temples, there are so many temples in the south of India where linga is worshipped, because that is the first form of creation.
I mean, not only the linga, for that matter, even the Vishnu temples, they will actually, I mean, the image is a secondary thing. The primary thing is the ammonite fossil, shalagram.
Yes, shalagram.
Yeah, it's this sort of really earliest, the fossil of one of the earliest forms of life. That's what's actually worshipped as Vishnu.
Yeah, but they are special stones.
Yeah.
It cannot be any stone. It's like special.
Yeah, but all the same, that's what it is. It's a kind of a, it's not an image. It's a piece of stone.
Yeah.
And same with the goddess. A lot of goddess temples actually have objects, which could be a stone or something or the other. And of course, there is
The triangle in it.
yeah, there is the Sri Chakra Puja, but also there are objects. Again, lots of Shakti temples have got a stone, which they say is a one of the body parts of Sati.
I had a really interesting dream a few years back where there were people in a room like this room, but they were formed a circle around a huge piece of jade, and they were waiting for something. And when I realized they were waiting for the stone to wake up, that just scared the heck out of me. Okay, and I'm trying to get out of that room and I'm like basically when I try to claw my way. And what I realized it was that if the stone woke up, nothing would make a difference anymore. And it was just so terribly frightening. And an example of no difference was that after I clawed my way out, I was just trying to find a place to settle, and there was this like apartment building where all those people lived. And I just went into one of those rooms, and the gentleman who was there or lived there came in, and he wasn't bothered at all by my presence in his space, but that was just a really powerful dream. And I just will never forget the fear of that stone waking up.
Wouldn't the ultimate, answering John Roberts, going back again, would the ultimate celebration of the involution be physical science and the materialist worldview? Because I was thinking there used to be a skit on Saturday Night Live, and it was called Grumpy Old Men. And they'd say, back when I was a boy, we didn't have computers, and we liked it. Yeah, and we had to do this and that, and we liked it. So that's kind of like physical science. It's like we love the world, we love matter, we love physics, and it's just great, and we don't need any of that divine stuff. So maybe that could be one way to look at it.
Okay, good.
If it's a good time to break.
Yeah, let's pray.